Girl, wherein Spanish David brings the snacky snacks and US David brings the BS. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another recap / review of 90 Day Fiancé Season 5, Episode 23, but I name it like Episode 11, Second Thoughts. I mean, there are just so many second thoughts throughout this whole episode. It is intense. Let's just jump right in because this is a long one. Thanks to the 300 of you guys who watched our live showing I had on Sunday. Me and Chris, we had a good old time. We had chili, we talked ish. It was good. We first start with Molly and Luis. Now, we left off last time with Molly and Luis, where Luis decided he was going to make up some bogus reason why he didn't want to be in the relationship with Molly anymore, stating, everything you speak to me is crazy right now. Why? You have a lot of Buddha and a lot of other ish. And you don't have just one things that means you saved your spirit for God. That's where we left off. Molly freaked out and is like, what are you talking about? I am a very spiritual person. And as someone brought up in the comment section on last week's video, why is Luis getting all insecure about her Pier 1 import decor? You know what I'm saying? Like, he is like really trying to find something out of nothing. So this is after that. She blows up on him. She hands him back the ring. She puts it on the bed and is like, you can take that. Luis just like convalesces on the bed. Like, he don't got no worries in the world. Like, he just... Bueno. It's like just has no thoughts in the world about anything. Oh guys, I forgot to tell you what's on my lips. So what's on my lips today is Echo by Kat Von D Everlasting Liquid Lipstick. I'll have a link and everything down in the description box. So let's get back to Trifling A Luis, okay? So she goes downstairs and she's like thinking about it. She's clearly upset. Kingsley is walking around. Her brother Jess is trying to figure out what's going on. And she says to him, were you aware that our house is filled with demons? And he's like, no. And then he goes off on some tangent about how the house is full of love, and then goes on some boomhauer like we got like the spiritual and God and blah, blah. And you're just like, what are you talking about, Jess? What are you talking about? And then Luis brings his A downstairs and he is so awkward. He like high fives Jess and it's like, what's up, brother? And it's just awkward because Molly's sitting there having a conversation with her brother and Luis just walks by, doesn't say anything to her, goes into the cabinet, gets a Starbucks cup, gets him some ice, looks like he's starting to chew on some ice. And it's just awkward. Jess is like, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of this kitchen and let y'all have this conversation, which the conversation is never even had because Luis takes his A back upstairs or somewhere. I don't know what goes on, but it is mad awkward and Molly is upset and she doesn't know what to do, what's going on. And she ends up having like a conversation with Jess in like the family room. And they talk about like what she's gonna do from here. And Jess is like, look, I don't know what you're gonna do from here, but whatever it is, you need to make the decision right now, because this can't fester. This can't just like hang in the air like this. And Molly's like, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. And then like Olivia comes down and this is the part that's ironic to me. Now let me preface this by saying that I'm not blaming Olivia, but what I am saying is that part of the reason why the situation didn't work out with Molly and Luis, even if it's real or not, part of the audible thing that we know to be the reason is Olivia and Kingsley's attitude towards Luis. This is what Olivia says, which I find to be a little ironic. Not that I don't think like Luis just needs to grow up and deal with it and be a man and step into the stepfather's shoes and do what he needs to do, girl. Not that I'm saying he doesn't need to do all that. I'm still saying this is a factor. Olivia's like, well, I support my mom. I'm not going to tell her what to do. I'm not going to tell her not to get married. And so Olivia's not going to take that from her because she knows it's what all her mother wants to do, but she hopes her mother breaks up with Luis. And I'm like, so what you're saying is you're removing yourself as being a possible issue with the why this isn't working out with Luis. I'm just saying, the irony of that should not be lost on Olivia. Olivia's like, mom needs to do what she needs to do for her. And when she refers to other people, I think she's talking about Luis. She's like basically saying, you know, you shouldn't put Luis's feelings over your own or over her. And she just wants her mom to be happy, blah, blah, blah. Molly's having emotions in the kitchen. Molly's having emotions in the family room. Kingsley walks up to her and gives her a hug because she sees mommy crying. And it's just like, for me, awkward because like, I kind of don't want Molly to have the conversation with her daughters as to what's going on, but that is their family structure, and I can 100% respect that. I'm not going to say, oh, she shouldn't do this. If that is how her and her girls get down, then that's how they get down, and it's a necessary thing for them to see their mother vulnerable and seeing their mother crying. That's how it goes. It just makes me feel like, oh, I wish they didn't have to witness this. Molly goes up to Luis to have a conversation about what they're actually going to be doing now, because now that everything's kind of cooled down, she's ready to have like the serious conversation. She goes upstairs and she's just like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. And she's just like, okay. And then he's like, my brothers are coming to get me. S'acabó. It's done. She's just like, okay, and she starts to cry. And then the next scene we have with Molly, her mother comes to the house to get her. Molly needs to leave the house because she doesn't want to see Luis or his brothers. She doesn't want to see him leave. And so she goes out with her mom, she cries some more with her mom at a restaurant, and then we see Luis leaving. And my thought is like, A, how did his brothers get there so quick? B, how do they have a car? Like, how did they rent a car? Because I'm under the assumption that Luis is the only ones of his family that are in the States. So how did this brother get to him so quick? Like, has this expanded over a week? Did they have the money to just hop on a plane and come to the US? Like, I really need to know the backstory of what's going on exactly with this, because I'm a little confused. They were there, it felt like the next day. Like, did they just come from the DR? Does his brother live there? And if so, like, why has he been so lonely? If his brother lives, like, somewhere where he can get to him in a day, like, I'm really confused. So, then they drop the bomb of all bombs. Molly is doing a confessional with the producers, and the producer is like, so, what does that mean for his 90 days? Is Luis gonna have to go back to the Dominican Republic? And Molly's like, Luis doesn't have to go back to the Dominican. The producer is like, what? Isn't his visa gonna be up? And she's like, Luis doesn't have to go back to the Dominican because his visa is not gonna expire, because technically we signed papers. And the producer is like, what? So wait, you're married already? And she's like, we signed papers with the state. So yes. And the producer is like, wait, so you are 100% married? Like, why Molly couldn't just say, yeah, we already married. We like literally, we haven't had the wedding, but we did go through the entire marriage process and signed all the paperwork, and so legally we are married. We're already married. So the producers like pull her aside and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? Tell us what's going on. And she starts to cry because she knows that she's lied to them. And apparently she got married to Luis in July. Now, I'm not sure if that was when they were already filming. And so the part of the frustration is that they didn't get the opportunity to know that had happened behind the scenes. Molly is saying that the reason why she signed on the dotted line when she did was because she knew it was going to be a long process after the marriage, and they only had a certain amount of time to turn in paperwork. So she just wanted to go on ahead and get the jump on that and turn in the paperwork and not have to worry about it. But if you watch the beginning of the next episode, girl, it sounds a little bit more confusing than that. And you start to think like, ooh, Molly, girl, you got played the fool. All right. But I'll say that to the next episode. All right, so let's move on to the next couple. We have Nicole and Azan. So Nicole and Azan, basically, Nicole just got back from Morocco. She's putting her clothes away in that like weird motel thing she lives in. Then they go to dinner with her family, her mother, her stepfather, who P.S. I thought was her grandfather the entire time. That man is old as dirt, because if Nicole's 22, her mom looks like she's in her late 40s, early 50, and grandpa looked like he like 70. Anyways, so, and her little brother Thomas. So they're sitting there. They're having dinner. May's there. She's cute with her little headphones on. She's quiet the whole entire time, which they all remark is like a huge difference. Like, she's quiet. They're asking Nicole very, very important questions. You know, they're like, okay, so what's the next step? How was Morocco? How was May in Morocco? Like, what is going on? So Nicole tries to like spin the story in a way that makes it seem like they're good, it was better than the last time, but Azan still doesn't trust her. And they're like, well, if he still doesn't trust you after you've gone there for a month the first time and then 2 months the second time, and he still doesn't trust you, like, it has nothing to do with trust or you, it has everything to do with him. Like, he's just gonna have to get over it if he wants to be in a relationship with you. And she's just making excuses for Azan, not mentioning the fact that she did lie to him again and not tell him that when she went out with that friend that it was a guy friend. So that's why he feels the resurgence of not trusting her, because of that scenario. But she didn't tell them that. She just made it seem like Azan was just didn't trust her, and that all she needed to do was prove it. And then baby brother steps in and just drops all the wisdom. I feel like between Jesse and Thomas, they could fix all these couples, you know what I'm saying? So Thomas is basically like, this don't make no sense. So you think it's gonna work out if he comes here for 90 days and then all of a sudden he's just gonna trust you? Like, no, the trust needs to happen before. You guys shouldn't be going through this right now. Everything should be good. If you're really talking about getting married and you're serious, things should be good. P.S. Are you making May call him daddy? And she's like, I don't make May do anything. I'm like, boop, you are a liar. You do make May call him daddy. And then grandma's like, well, if you didn't mention that she should call him daddy, then she wouldn't just sporadically start calling him daddy. So you had to have said something. Nicole is just, going like, just picking at her food. And she's like, just trying to like gloss over all these important facts, they're spitting out. And then they're like, what are you going to do about money? Like, you work a minimum wage job. When he comes here, how are you going to support him and your daughter? And she's just like, well, I haven't really thought that far into the future. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, that far into the future is like within like 5 months. Like, Nicole doesn't think more than 2 weeks in advance, like more than 2 weeks in advance. I can't stand this job. And then when they ask about his employment and like, does he have a job in Morocco? She's like, no. And they're just like, why? So then Grandpa Joe is like, well, how old is he? And she's like, 25? Like, this B don't know how old he is. She gonna try to pretend like she don't know he 25 years old. He don't got no job and he trying to live off a 22-year-old working minimum wage in Florida. Ross. Oh God, I can't. Anyways, that's the end of their story. I can't talk about them anymore. It's the only thing. It's just annoying. So next we move on to David and Evelyn, where it's 24 hours to the wedding. All of the groomsmen are in town. And they're at that tuxedo place with CJ, the owner, going through the tuxedos and seeing how everything fits, doing the final fitting. So while they're in there, it seems like one homeboy, Ricardo, might have a little bitty problem with Evelyn. He feels like Evelyn's domineering, Evelyn's running the show, David doesn't have any say. She makes some little quips and little jokes about David not having a say in things, and David's just kind of like, he takes the first punch and he keeps rolling, then he takes the second hit and he keeps rolling, but at the third one, he had to put Ricardo in his place. And I do think at that point, Ricardo had to let it go. Ricardo was being a little bit too like, let the grown-ass man do what he wants to do. Let David do what he wants to do. David wants to come to America, marry 18-year-old, then like, let him live that life. Ricardo even makes some comment about, well, the reason why you're rushing to get married, is it because you're a virgin? Like, wink, wink, you trying to, that why you're getting married? And Ricardo's just skeptical because he says that when he asked David previously if David was in love with Evelyn, he didn't say, yes, I'm in love with her. He just said, I'm happy and I'm content. And it's, from the outside, it would sound like, oh, that means he doesn't love her, he's not in love. But like, if you've been watching their story, you would know that David is not the kind of person who would say he's in love with somebody, even if he was. Like, I don't think that he would audibly say things like that. He's just not a person that knows how to affectionately communicate, or like, you know what I'm saying? You guys get what I'm saying? Like, it sounds within his character to not answer that with a definite yes. They're just worried though. I think Ricardo feels like David is a kind of like guy who's into worldly things, and all of a sudden like he's given up all, like, not worldly things as like versus like Christian things, but like, I mean, he's a traveler, he's into new experiences, and like living a certain amount of his time in Claremont, New Hampshire for this girl who's just bossing him around and not letting him choose anything for the wedding, like rubs Ricardo the wrong way. And as a true homie, I could see it. And I feel the same way with Michaela too. As a true homie coming through, telling how you really feel, like, all right, do you want to say it in front of the cameras, in front of everybody, and embarrass him, in front of CJ? No. That's just how I think. David is excited, girl. He's just excited, and it's actually nice to see. So at some point, Ricardo and the other homie, Giuseppe, is supposed to go and get the ring. They take too long to get it. David's nervous, but I'm sure everything is fine. He ends up locking the car keys in the house, and it's a whole, like, fumble. But, whatever. Break the door down, get the keys, and go to the wedding. That's my thing. The next scene we see with Evelyn, she and her friends will wake up from their bachelorette sleepover. She puts on her Little House on the Prairie wedding dress. The sentiment of that being her mom's dress is really cute and really like heartfelt, but a part of me is like, her mom wore that dress in 1997. Where did they get that dress from? That dress looks like it came from 1977, not 1997. Where did she get that dress in 1997? What's going on in Claremont? What was happening in Claremont, New Hampshire in 1997 where that dress was purchased? Perhaps it was made. But like, okay, the sentiment behind it is cute. Is the dress itself cute? No. So everybody gets ready. She puts on too much blush. Her mother's like, calm down, put the makeup down, girl. I got you. Don't worry about it. Just leave it all alone. I do it. And you know, Evelyn's a natural beauty to me. I think she's very beautiful. I think, you know, for her to be 18 and be as far along, she looks like she's 28. But whatever, you know what I'm saying? It is. She's still beautiful. So she looked like a beautiful bride. She took those pictures, girl. I know the sun was coming from the back. It looked like it was going to be such cute pictures. So I'm excited for that. Evelyn even has a black friend. So that kind of endeared me to her just a little bit. The only black person in all of Claremont, New Hampshire. The car she gets in to go to the church is like 1920s. So there's definitely a vintage feel, but like just general vintage, like not even a specific year, you know, just like general anything old. The dress is like 70s Little House on the Prairie. It's just like crazy. They get married and it's great. Bye. So we move on to Josh and Ika. So Josh and Ika are still in a little bit of a fight, but they're moving on with this wedding. They get into a car, they drive to Vegas, they get there, and they meet Mom. So their first thing is to have dinner with Josh's family. And Mom is very candid with the fact that Josh is immature and she's worried about this relationship and about where it's going because of all the things that Ika wants, and she knows her son is just not that person. So while you have Joe, on the other hand, thinking that Josh is the greatest thing that ever happened to Ika, you have Josh's mom actually admitting that her son doesn't have a very good track record when it comes to women or family. And even his stepfather during the dinner says, like, look, you have a terrible track record, I need you to get your ish together. They're basically telling him, like, look, like, this is the time. You're 43 years old. You've had 2 failed marriages. The first one, you don't even talk to your kids. You have 2 kids that are grown that you do not talk to, that you lost contact with because you're an immature non-adult. And they're like, you need to step up. And they try to test Ika a little bit to see where she's coming from. And she, you know, gives all the right answers because honestly, Josh hasn't really explained his past to her. And he has admitted that he's kept some things back. Like even during the dinner, he says to his mother, oh, you know what happened to me a couple years ago. And Ika starts to cry because I think that Ika has formed a very different opinion of what's happened to Josh, or what happened to Josh, not like what he did to his family, but what happened to him. And why he doesn't have contact with his kids. I think he's kind of spinned it in a way that makes it seem like his ex-wife took his kids from him and he had no choice about it. Now, I don't have a doubt that she did, but what were the circumstances in which she took the 2 kids from him, right? That's what we need to know. So Ika starts to cry because she just is like so sad that he's never had, you know, hasn't had contact with his kids in such a long time, and she's sad for that situation. Everyone's like, oh, how come Ika can't tell that, you know, there's red flags? It's because he's spinned it to her. She's only known one side of it, so how is she supposed to believe anything else? And Mom isn't gonna sit there and like divulge all the details, you know, she just wants to know like what's up, like if this is real or not. And she really thinks that Ika is going to be the person to make him be mature. And I like the fact that Mom likes Ika. And I also like the fact that Mom is fly. Mom came there with her cheetah girl outfit on, her red bold lip, you know, her face did. I like a woman who like, you know, put some energy into herself. Even if it doesn't reflect itself with makeup and fancy jewelry, I just like a woman who like is still like, I look good. I look good, you know, and I thought Mama was doing it. So the next scene we have with them was their wedding, and Ika is getting her hair done and they're putting the veil in. They do a really cute fishtail long pony with like a braid up here and like a sparkle diamond fake, like a diamond headband. It's so cute. So I was just wondering why they also didn't do her makeup. I would have been okay if someone else besides Ika did her makeup. You know, for sure get a little bit of like color matching on that foundation, you know, maybe take down the eyelashes and the eyeliner just a bit, you know, maybe do something different with those eyebrows, you know. I'm just off the top of my head, just going off of some of the things that I think she would have benefited from if somebody else had done her makeup. But anyway, she looks great. So Mom comes in to help out, and Ika's like, oh, I wish my family were here, but Josh's mother is so accommodating and nice, and she's like almost starts to cry when she sees Ika's wedding dress. And let me tell you, when they open the doors and Ika walks down the aisle, Ika looks beautiful. The dress is not my style, but Ika looks beautiful, okay? She has on what is called heart-shaped bodice. I think I'm using all the right words. You know, a heart-shaped corseted bodice with like diamonds, like giant chunky stones right here, and then she's got like, it's form-fitting down the waist, it's like cinched in the back, and then it poofs out and it's short in the front, and then has a very long ombre, like purple, pink, lavender train, and it was just layers of fabric. And I was just like, all right, girl, for you to throw together a wedding, like, where'd you get that dress from? Did you bring it from the Philippines? Did you make it? Like, I mean, just mad respect for her actually putting together a dress that totally suits her and totally suits her personality. She had on some like bejeweled strappy sandals as she walked down the aisle. She looked cute. And then we have Josh, and Josh was in a black blazer with like, I can't remember what color shirt, a pink flower that kind of matched her dress, and jeans, girl, jeans. He didn't even have the wherewithal to get some black slacks. Jeans. So shady friend Joe was at the wedding talking about he still doesn't trust Ika, but he's happy for Josh and Josh deserves the best. I'm like, Josh is a low-key loser, so like, stop defending Josh. He does not deserve the best. He deserves to grow up and be an adult and take care of his family and be honest and do the things he said he was going to do. And mom knows that Josh does not have a good record when it comes to kids. Like, he's immature. Basically, my son's immature. He didn't take care of his first 2 kids, and now this woman wants kids with him. Like, I really hope that he steps up to the plate and does what he needs to do. Let's move on to Andre and Libby. So we come off of the bachelorette situation where they took her phone and Libby was upset. She got it back, and then she went about her night and had a great time. Then when she came back to Andre the next day and they had the conversation, Andre was a little miffed that for a couple hours she was unavailable. She said that it was because her sisters took her phone and that's why she wasn't able to communicate. He overreacted and got upset and felt like the sisters were trying to sabotage them. So he made a comment stating that, look, if the people who are going to come to our wedding aren't going to be positive, they're just going to be negative, I don't want them at our wedding. And that didn't sit well with Elizabeth. So the next day they have a conversation in the park where Elizabeth's like, look, you need to figure it out with my sisters because they're not going to not come to my wedding. My sisters and my family are coming to my wedding, so you need to work it out with them. Do whatever you need to do, have the conversation, whatever. So Andre and Jen meet up to talk about that situation, wherein Jen tries to soft foot around what she actually was intending to do. She tried to say that it wasn't personal to Andre, that she would have done it or has done it to any of her siblings, significant others, and it's a test because her views are over here, his views are over there, and they need to meet somewhere in the middle because they both love the same person. And Andre's like, so, you know, I'm not going to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to confront you or anything. You know, I just want to have a conversation to, you know, to understand, you know, like you took her phone to make me uncomfortable or something like that. Look, I didn't come here to confront you. I just want to clarify a situation. So, you know, Jen is like trying to like test our relationship to see, you know, to get me like into mood to see, you know, how I'm going to react. And, you know, it's just like meeting you today in person. I want to make sure that, you know, because even if when I talk to Elizabeth, and I said that before, you know, like basically you need to stop with her shit or I'm going to bury you. Libby tells me that you took her phone and that part of the reason why you took her phone is because you want to test me or antagonize me or get me upset and drive like issues between us, and that's not right. And I told Libby that if the people who come to our wedding can't be positive and can't be there for us and don't support us, then I don't want them at the wedding. Jen takes a seat back and is just like, well, I'm coming to the wedding. It's crazy that you would think, not to his face though, they're being douches to Andre for no reason. I still don't see any reason why they're the way they are to Andre. And then to the confessional, she's like, oh, it's crazy. I would absolutely come to the wedding, regardless of if he liked us or not. Regardless of if I liked him or not. I would absolutely come. He's like, bet your bottom dollar? They left the conversation understanding each other's side. And I'm sure Jen will refrain from trying to be drama or trying to stir up ish for no reason in the future. Alright, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this episode of 90 Day Fiancé's Second Thoughts. So if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to consider becoming a Patreon patron, please click the link down below and become a patron. Alright, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye!